In 2016, anime fans were graced with the animated version of Karasuno vs. Shiratorizawa, the match that took an entire season. Sports anime often gets slapped with the label of being repetitive, but the recursion of ideas and situations is what makes these series work. For my money, Haikyuu is at its best when it indulges in the minutiae of sports and volleyball, and this match marks the first time Furudate truly gets to go all in. Season 3 of Haikyuu is only 10 episodes long, those episodes solely focusing on the championship clash for the Miyagi Prefecture. The winner goes to Nationals and the loser goes home. Nationals has always been the goal for Karasuno, so the stakes are at their peak, and above all else, it is the ultimate David versus Goliath show-off. Karasuno had history with Date Tech and Alba Josai. With Shiratorizawa, that doesn't exist. This is a team in another class, as they already look ahead to those they'll face on the national stage, not the Crows who are currently trying to tear them down. This makes it the ideal match for Furudate to indulge in, as the gameplay itself creates all the tension. The choice to make Season 3 only 10 episodes and one match was the ideal response to some of the criticisms of the second season, mainly that it felt repetitive. For this analysis of the match, I will be focusing more on the manga version of Shiratorizawa vs. Karasuno than the anime, but the adaptation is so close that I think it's important to highlight how monumental the length of this match, 30 chapters in the manga and 10 episodes an entire season in the anime, is. Season 2 starts with a training camp and ends with Karasuno playing the same team they played at the end of Season 1. While most fans, myself included, don't find it that repetitive, I can at least see where some casual fans who don't adore sports anime are coming from, especially on a first watch. Season 2 could at times feel like we're following the same beats as Season 1. Karasuno vs. Shiratorizawa dispels that fear from fans and delivers one of the greatest matches in sports anime history, raising the stakes to an all-time high, taking a full 10 episodes to give us one of the most dramatic matches in anime. Season 2 ended with Karasuno overcoming Alba Josai, Hinata and Kageyama defeating Oikawa. That match had 2 seasons worth of build-up behind it and concluded perfectly as Hinata wins the match with his eyes open. The Shiratorizawa match had to not only match that with far less setup, but try and exceed it. Shiratorizawa's setup is through reputation. Since the start of the series, we have heard about their strength and briefly see them dominate Alba Josai. The complexion of this team doesn't get revealed until the day of their match, with the only encounter beforehand coming at the start of Season 2, when Ushijima meets the first-year Freaks. Ushijima brings a mix of grounded realism and overwhelming talent in a way that rejects Hinata's potential. Furudate uses these two players to set the stage, allowing the prospect of Nationals to carry as much weight as a great rivalry would. Everything feels all the more tense because we discover the nuances of Shiratorizawa as a team in real time as the match unfolds. In defeating Alba Josai, Karasuno reached a new level as a team, where their style is defined and everyone knows their role. The last piece of development needed comes from 2 of their first years. Kageyama made a leap against Oikawa and continues to grow into himself as the key cog for this team. In this match, all eyes are on Hinata and Suki. Hinata still leaves a lot to be desired with his technical ability, that development coming in Season 4, so in this match, we need him to meet the moment, picking his spots to be a decoy or the main force. Suki needs to pay off his potential as a talented read blocker if Karasuno want to become a national level team. I don't want to understate the stakes of this match. None in Haikyuu match the immediate reward or loss that the Shiratorizawa finals provides. While Karasuno would love to win nationals and that becomes the next goal, qualification is always the highest reward, a feat Karasuno hasn't achieved in years. Since early in Season 1, this has been the #1 goal, and now they just have to overcome the mountain that is Ushijima to do it. If Aoba Josai was the prefecture's most complete team, then Shiratorizawa is the most incomplete. Most teams function on an axis of multiplication, using a combination of players to get exponentially more value. Shiratorizawa uses addition, bringing a team of such strong individuals that they only need to add. After Ushijima shows off his cannon in warm-ups, we look behind the curtain of Shiratorizawa's team dynamic. We meet the perceptive third-year Tendo and overzealous first-year Goshiki, with a fair bit of humor as Goshiki's bright-eyed optimism misses out on Tendo's sarcasm. First impressions of Shiratorizawa comes with varying personalities that highlights how strong each player is individually. With the prospect of making it to nationals becoming a reality, nerves start to set in, as even the most even-keeled Karasuno players start to shake as the game kicks off with Daiichi missing his serve. This match is another level of intensity than we are used to, and it starts right from the very first serve. After a few errors, Ushijima slams the ball home for his first points of the match, right through Noya, who was in the perfect place to receive the ball. Not only does Ushijima have overwhelming strength and perfect technique, but because of his left-handedness, he puts a different spin on the ball. This might not seem like a big difference, but at this stage of the tournament, slight advantages like this can compound. Noya vows that it will take only 3 tries to get used to Ushijima's spin. This moment is a key example of how Furodate creates mini-arcs within a match to hold our tension and set expectations while never making the reader feel exhausted. This match isn't limited to the idea of who will win, because now we want to know if Noya will make good on his promise. Shiratorizawa takes a commanding 3-5 lead. The combination of nerves and Ushijima's unique spin means every chance Karasuno would have to keep it close allows Shiratorizawa to snatch points. Everyone's timing is off, and it seems like no matter what Karasuno do, they might not be able to overcome the gap in perceived talent. The set continues to spiral in Shiratorizawa's favor, and the crowd feeds off that energy, creating a hostile environment for our crows. With the set out of reach, Tsuki disengages, mentally moving on to set 2 and lowering his energy levels. Tsuki has made progress in his reads, but understands that he would do well to stop only one of Ushijima's hits. Tsuki's intensity relaxes. What's the point in giving your entire effort if the set is already lost? Then we cut to Noya. Noya's intensity doesn't drop because the set seems lost. He sees only the play, a chance to make his receive. 3rd time's the charm, and he digs Ushijima's serve, giving Karasuno some much-needed confidence moving into the second set. Ushijima comes into this match as an unstoppable force, a player who has dominated the prefecture for years, creating a legend in his wake and burying the exposure of players like Oikawa. At the end of a set Karasuno can't win, Noya proves Kuro right. 1 point can be worth more depending on the timing. Here, Noya shows that Karasuno belongs. Furodate weaves together Karasuno's player struggles and goals for the match, both Noya and Tsuki stopping Ushijima, which deepens their characterization and creates really meaningful moments. After Noya makes his declaration, we shifted focus to Tsuki, not to only distract us from Noya getting his 3rd chance to receive an Ushijima spike, but to set up Tsuki's arc as well. Tsuki feels like giving up, disregarding Kuro's advice, and then we swing back to pay off Noya's arc. Cutting to Tsuki isn't just distraction, but interconnects teammates and sets the stage for further development. Furodate will do this throughout this match and every other one in the series. As he moves from player to player, he sets up different expectations for what they'll do later in the match, and then uses that response to allow other players to recontextualize their own goals. This allows Furodate to write matches that take an extended length of time without having them drag. Throughout each of these major setup and payoffs, we get smaller moments of character building. After Kageyama turns a spike into a set, Shirabu mentions how fitting that is for Oikawa's prodigy, and Tendo learns for the first time who Kageyama is. This is how focused Shiratorizawa's third years are on the moment, and how little they fear the competition, Tendo having no idea who the opponent's star setter is. This match is littered with moments like this, with the central dynamic of Hinata and Ushijima being one of the most interesting. Hinata looks to make his mark on the game, proving he will thrash Shiratorizawa, and Ushijima digs Hinata's hit, Ushijima then crushing a spike through a triple block as Shiratorizawa go on to win the set 25-16. The first set instills the reality of Shiratorizawa's talent, while giving readers a picture of what Karasuno can do to close the gap. Noya and Tsuki can put up a fight, and Ushijima's hits can be dug up. Karasuno's nerves will settle, and now they need Hinata and Tsuki to perform for the key points of the match, and maybe they'll have a chance. Ushijima's annoyance with Hinata is reinforced at the end of the set, for Hinata's confidence that doesn't seem to be bound to reality. What I find compelling about the start of this match now is how it brings me into Ushijima's philosophy by the end of the first set. It does seem a bit ludicrous that Hinata totally believes in his skill when he's put in far less training than a player like Ushijima. You also see the benefits of Shiratorizawa's style of play. No matter what opponent they face, they can always respond with great technique and brute force. Shiratorizawa asks the question of their opponent, forcing them to adapt, not the other way around. Shiratorizawa has grand expectations as a team, and this first set exceeds them. Karasuno will have to meet every important point if they're going to win this match. The first set exceeds in matching the hype of Shiratorizawa. It will take a monumental performance from our crows to overcome Shiratorizawa. All of Karasuno's players have to become the best versions of themselves if they're going to pull this off. Furodate wastes no time moving into the second set. Karasuno break free with a synchro attack, showing how they were able to make it this far in the tournament, and we get some back and forth. Hinata has the chance to double Karasuno's lead with a slide hit up the middle, and it gets snuffed out by Tendo, Shiratorizawa's monster guest blocker. Tendo's guest blocking philosophy of crushing hitters' confidence by spiking the ball back at them directly opposes Tsuki's read blocking system. Tendo's flamboyant personality shows how he gets satisfaction from demoralizing his opponent, and it starts with Hinata. 8 rallies into the second set, and Hinata has yet to leave his mark. Ushijima and Tsuki have shown the logical side of volleyball, how they approach each play and the strategy of the game to give yourself the biggest advantage, but Tendo reflects the emotional side. His play has impact beyond a single point with a block, as he puts a unique kind of pressure and intensity on his opponents. His blocks prey on knowing the emotion and understanding the headspace of the setter. Karasuno keeps pace with Shiratorizawa throughout the beginning of this set, as we focus on the 3 distinctly different middle blockers. Hinata is an offensive force that uses the length of the court and speed to get by blockers as he slowly starts to break down walls. Tendo is unpredictable, and that unpredictability allows him to snuff out Kageyama multiple times. Tsuki is the normal one, rarely going after a spike and slowly working his way into the game, and it pays off when he stuffs Tendo by not falling for the same delayed spike that cooked Hinata. Tsuki then fails to stop Ushijima, but it feels like his read blocking strategy is working. I love the subtle moment between Shirabu and Tsuki. Tendo has put a lot of notable pressure on Kageyama, but Tsuki does the same thing with Shirabu, even though Ushijima doesn't seem fazed by it. The second set is all about these middle blockers, whose contrasting styles reinforce the larger philosophical argument the match is having with itself. Where should a coach draw the line from a player's personal style in the way the coach thinks volleyball should be played? As the set becomes tied at 20 apiece, we start to get insight into Washijo's outlook on developing a team. In high school, players will come in and out, and so leaning on repeatable talent seems to be the best way forward. We see this when Yamaguchi comes in to serve, hoping to get the perfect serve block combo, and they give themselves a chance to do it. until Ushijima crushes the ball through good blocking off of a poor set. Washijo's philosophy is logical and effective, but it leaves a bad taste in my mouth for those players whose talent doesn't blossom at a young age and then are never given a chance to discover it. Down 21-22, we see Karasuno find their form. All plays are connected. As Tsuki takes over timing for blocks, he allows the read blocking system to come into full effect, creating a path for Noya to make a brilliant receive and then tie the game up the middle. Just as things tilt Karasuno's way, the talent of Shiratorizawa shows up as they take the lead 24-23 on the back of a Shirabu setter dump. The teams go back and forth, Kageyama taking things into his own hands as the match goes into the high 20s. With Karasuno finally at match point, Tsuki's persistence pays off. Karasuno have to win this set, as they likely won't be able to rattle off 3 wins in a row, especially after losing such a close one. They need a player to step up, to rise to the occasion, and match the skill on the other side of the net. 1 point out of 25, a single rally. When the pressure makes Shirabu slip, Tsuki takes his opportunity and stuffs Ushijima, winning the second set for Karasuno, finding his form, and most importantly, having his moment to get hooked on volleyball. Every rally is worth 1 point. That mindset can keep you grounded as you don't get lost in the bigger picture. In this moment, though, we see how a single moment can change the trajectory of a match and a person's life. Sports are nothing more than games created to push the limitations of people. Their meaning is self-created. For millions of people, volleyball is meaningless, but for so many others, it gives purpose. Tsuki falls in love with volleyball because of this moment. All of us seek purpose, to find a moment where everything comes together and the direction of our lives becomes clear. Tsuki's block on Ushijima doesn't just win the set for Karasuno while keeping their hopes of nationals alive, but it transforms a person into someone who's willing to care. Tsuki tried to hide his passion for the longest time, but passion isn't something that should be contained or scoffed at, for we all wish we could find our block moment, where our practice and goals align into a burst of emotion that reaffirms the path we've chosen. This moment lands not just for the multi-season development of Tsuki, but how Tsuki denies Shiratorizawa's individualistic style. Read blocking is a system that leans on the whole, not the individual. Tsuki's talent was buried beneath the facade of not caring or trying, but given the right system, his talent burst out, and he takes charge as a key player for Karasuno in this match. By embracing a system and his teammates, he, for a moment, gets the better of the overwhelming talent across the net. Do we really think Washijo's individualistic style would have allowed for Tsuki's talent to bloom? Karasuno wins the second set, and Tsuki's passion bursting free clicks Karasuno into place as a team that is ready for the national stage. The third set begins, and we think Karasuno will be able to flip things in their favor with a single turn of the page that gets put to rest, as Karasuno find themselves down 20-15. Set 3 focuses on Shirabu, Shiratorizawa's inconspicuous setter. Our expectations of him as a player stem from our knowledge that Ushijima believes if Oikawa went to Shiratorizawa, they would have a chance to win nationals, and that Shiratorizawa can't quite reach that level, in large part due to their current setter. With that being said, Shirabu is a really good fit for this team as a setter who has talent and asserts himself at times, but generally loves to fall in the background, giving his spikers the keys to making plays in the air. He differs from Kageyama's mentality so much so that Washijo stands firm in his decision to pass on Kageyama. When we think about a team functioning, we assume it means utilizing every player's skill set to the fullest, but that doesn't have to be the case. Shirabu could do more quicks if he needed to, but maybe the best way to utilize his skill is to allow him to let raw strength succeed. Shiratorizawa win the third set 25-20 and take a commanding lead in the match. Just when we thought Karasuno found their footing, Furadate leans the other way, and proves just how strong Shiratorizawa are. The start of set 4 sees a back and forth between both teams as players get comfortable in their roles and lean back on their philosophies. Karasuno play as an unpredictable team, leveraging different skill sets to get varying results, while Shiratorizawa remain stalwart in their overpowering approach. The back and forth leads to Shiratorizawa taking a small lead after easily responding to the attempted miracle Karasuno try to pull off. At this point in the match, we need Hinata to make his presence known if he's going to earn his spot on the court. Suki met the challenge, and now it's his turn. Anticipating the set to the ace, Hinata gets a running start and gets higher than expected to block Ushijima, the second time this has now happened in the game. But it isn't just a fluke. Hinata stays in multiple plays defensively and starts to let his offense shine. He gets the attention of the blockers and helps clear a path for his teammates, Karasuno taking a shocking 19-18 fourth set lead. Karasuno continue to press as many of their players start to feel the fatigue of playing beyond the normal 3 sets. Karasuno keep hold of their lead going into a rally, up 24-23 and a chance to force a 5th. Shiratorizawa refusing to let go, forcing a deuce. In his typical guest-blocking fashion, Tendo looks to stir the pot, trying to get Kageyama off of his game, telling him that it must be the end of the world. Kageyama's response: "The only thing that could be the end of the world is the day I don't get to play volleyball again." This is the kind of attitude that separates Kageyama from so many, and one that has the potential to keep a player in the moment. Difficult tasks usually feel overwhelming, but put into context, challenging things don't have to make us worry or sweat. For Kageyama, the enjoyment of playing volleyball outweighs the risk of losing. Things in this match reach their most desperate. Match point for Shiratorizawa, Ushijima up to serve. Karasuno unable to back down. They have to meet their greatest challenge head on. One moment to end their potential as a team. And Noya responds with brilliance. Kageyama and Suki eventually evening things up with a crucial block. With a chance to win set 4 and force a final shorter 5th set, fatigue finally sets in as Kageyama leaves his set short for Hinata. The greatest decoy doesn't blink, using his left hand to just get the ball to bounce over the block and score the winning match point. Now Ushijima's starting to see how Hinata Shoyo, a player born of concrete, has found a way to fly. Hinata does not look at the game with the burden of playing one specific way, and instead trusts in his teammates and himself to find unique solutions to the problems his opponents think are already solved. To start the 5th set, Suga takes the court, giving Kageyama some much-needed rest. I love this, as it shows how crucial it is to have a strong bench and remove some of the greatest player of all time, Shine, off of Kageyama's back. Suga makes an instant impact. He has some of Shirabu in him, as he relies on his hitters to convert in difficult spots, but he also has adapted to his new situation, even getting the chance to spike the ball after he got a first touch. As Karasuno take hold of the 5th set, Furodate reflects on Ushijima's upbringing. If you want only Ushijima thoughts, check out my video on how he captures the beauty of perfection. Ushijima's left-handedness comes as a gift from his father, who hopes that his son will one day find something that makes him happy, in the same way that volleyball was fulfilling for him. Ushijima does find happiness in his excellence of play, and that really goes a long way to helping us understand why he can't see Hinata's perspective, and why he would be the perfect fit as a player for Shiratorizawa. All of the greatest success stories happen through a unique balance of talent, hard work, and timing. For Ushijima, he has all of those things and has done his best to put himself in a position to succeed. I don't think Ushijima cares that a small player thinks he can play against taller competition, that a player who lacks fundamental skills thinks he can overcome that. The reader understands Hinata's success stems from the blind faith, and that technique isn't far behind. Ushijima has gone above our expectations and takes things into his own hands, pushing Karasuno to the brink. Even so, Suki is still on point with his read-blocking scheme, until his hand takes the brunt of a spike, and he needs to be subbed out of the game with Karasuno down 7-4. The first set without Suki, and Tendo is the one to rip out the hearts of our players by playing a brand of volleyball that makes him feel good. Tendo's individualistic style of play isn't too dissimilar from Hinata's. Hinata plays volleyball in a way that serves his skill set, being a decoy, while Tendo leans into his instincts, which allow him to play at an extremely high level. Near the end of the match, we see a conviction out of Ushijima for the first time, as he goes beyond just wanting to win, but instead crush Hinata, and his naive outlook on volleyball. Just in time, Kageyama subs back into the game. Fresh Kageyama is not messing around, starting off with a wicked serve into the top-down spike for Hinata that they previewed in warm-ups, yet another payoff from Furadate. Leading 12-9, Shiratorizawa can take a stranglehold on the game. Ushijima looks to capitalize on a free ball, and Hinata's instincts stop him, not at the net, something in between a block and receive, to give Karasuno a crucial point. After struggling in earlier sets, Yamaguchi takes this chance and gives Karasuno 3 straight points, the third coming from an error from Shiratorizawa's rising star, Goshiki. I love Goshiki. He doesn't get a lot of time to shine in this match, but enough that he is worth discussing. Goshiki is a very talented player who has to wait for his time to take over the team, while Ushijima is dominant. In some aspects, Goshiki feels like an Oikawa type of player, elite but not the best. Of course, we can't forget he's a first year, but he still doesn't seem to have the same hype about him that a player like Kageyama has. It can be hard to wait for your chance, especially when you feel like you have talent and there's a person in front of you who's getting their chance to shine instead of you. I think that can lead us to make mistakes, pushing ourselves in a direction to grow too quickly and trying to skip steps. I love how this is in the background of this match, and it's great seeing Goshiki overcome it in the 5th set, finding clarity and focus. Karasuno evened the score up at 14 apiece, and then we get some more insight into Washijo. Washijo opposes everything that Hinata represents. Hinata wants to fly with those who have greater height than him, compete with the endlessly talented. Washijo's dreams of playing that way faded long ago, as he bent the knee to raw strength and the beauty of the chosen few who have the work ethic to match their talent. And the moment just seems too great for Karasuno, as they lose a close point and now trail 15-14. And Yukai,
volleyball is a sport where you always have to look up,
makes his imprint on the game. And soon we get some extra help with Suki coming back in to help them. Suki has transformed on the court, and he helps the rally get going while pushing through an injury to give his team a chance. Something that a player who didn't care would never do. As the final set reaches its conclusion, each team goes back and forth. Both sides fall to the rawness of their strategies, leaning on their base instincts, trying to carry them over the edge. Hinata's way of playing contrasts everything Shiratorizawa represents. Ushijima wishes to crush him, and Washijo will risk everything to deny him. But Hinata doesn't back down, even in the face of a total block, stopping him from winning the match. With Karasuno in the lead, we get maybe the best rally in the series, a back and forth affair, one that Ushijima puts everything on the line for. When our rookies start to fall under the weight of this giant, it's the third years who lift them up. Everything here is on the line. The entire series boiled down to a single moment. Can the smaller, less experienced team overcome perfect strength if they lean into their instincts and hone their strategy? Hinata blends in with the crowd, becoming not a decoy, but another crow, and wins the match for Karasuno. This final rally pushes Furadate's style to its fullest as he gets experimental, allowing Ushijima to literally become the weight of the world. Karasuno versus Shiratorizawa is for the dreamers, those of us who believe we can become something greater than our label. As the third years embrace in shock that they actually achieved their goal. We know this isn't a fluke. Karasuno earned this spot by embracing their potential and learning to play as a side of 6. This match was a monumental step forward for Haikyuu, as it showed that Furodate wasn't retreading water, but building to important character revelations. Suki having his moment, Noya standing tall in the face of a monster, the third years making it to nationals, and Hinata proving that you don't need to be limited by your presumed limitations. Shiratorizawa fought with height, talent, and reputation. They fall to the scrappy crows of Karasuno, who leveraged the unique qualities of each player to win all of the most important points in the match. Furodate took on the challenge of writing an extended match, and met those expectations by showing us that no matter what talent you possess, there will always be ways to reach greater heights. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I've been wanting to rediscuss this match for years now, and so it was a lot of fun to re-dive into it. If you enjoy my videos, then consider checking out my Patreon, and huge shout out to all of my patrons and YouTube members. They're such a big part of helping this channel continue on, and if you want to support me even further, consider checking it out. Here you get access to this channel's Discord server where you can chat with me and other anime fans. There I host my monthly anime watch-alongs. You also get your name at the end of every video and access to exclusive other Patreon posts. Thanks again for watching the video, and I hope to see you in the next one.